So yeah, animal cruelty, like, let's talk about it. Zoos, makeup, even veganism. Everyone everywhere. Stay tuned for that. What's going on, everyone? I'm Chris George Julian. Welcome to the Elite Thinking Club. I'm joined today with my co-hosts Liz and Lucas. All right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Today we're talking about animal cruelty, and that's everything from the makeup industry that, you know, test their products on animals, all the way to zoos and how they keep animals locked up in cages, and whether or not you think that's right or not. And then also veganism. Do you think that eating animals is justifiable in this day and age? All that coming up. So let's go in first and foremost with the animal cruelty in regards to makeup, the makeup industry, right? Now, I'm gonna put my hand up and say that I don't actually wear makeup. Like, I might put lip balm on my lips when it's chaps outside, and I think that's about it with me. I mean, Lucas, you wear makeup?
Nah,
None at all.
no,
Nothing. Not even lip balm.
no, I might put a bit of moisturiser on, but other than that, no.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I'll put moisturizer on as well, like full on cocoa butter all over the body, full on. Liz, what about yourself? You're a makeup person?
I wear a little bit, yeah. However,
the
makeup that I wear and the creams that I use are all vegan now. And when I was younger, I wasn't as clued up about it, I admit. So there were probably products that I did use that I had no idea were probably tested on animals, or possibly had animal products in them. But yeah, everything I have now is vegan and is pretty much plant-based. So a lot of the stuff that I use is from Tropics, which is plant-based and all vegan. And they do makeup, moisturizers, hair shampoos, the lot. They do everything that you need, basically, or everything that we think we need, everything that we use. So yeah, I just can't really believe that we as humans over the years have got animals in laboratories and put products on them to see how they react and tested so much on them. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever watched a video or looked into what they've done to animals before in laboratories when they test. It's really, 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 really shocking, and it's really not nice. So I wouldn't want it done to myself. So I don't think it should be done to animals.
That's real deep, because you know what? I don't think a lot of people are exposed as to exactly what goes into the testing on animals. Like, I did see an image of a rabbit, like a rabbit with its eyes wide open, being held open like this. I don't know why they had their eyes open like that, but I saw the image, and it basically had caption next to it: "This is animal testing." And you know, they for some reason feel like they can justify it. However, if they said test it on a human, you know, no human would willingly say, "I'll go first," and get their eyes put like this. Do you know what I mean? It just, no human wants that done to them. Now, the disconnect is when these people feel like animals don't have feelings. They can't feel how this feels. Like, animals freak out when it's unnatural behavior, like just like any human would. We feel anxiety, we feel pain, we feel, you know, fear and
angst. Yeah,
when like this goes down, you know, if it ain't right, if it don't feel right to you, at what point do you think it feels right to them?
Absolutely.
And that there is where I stand on the matter. However, if you're
I
watching
think
now
some
and you feel like you've got
Sorry.
something to say on this, then you've got to comment, because it's not good enough just sitting that back and saying nothing, right? If you are passionate about this topic like we are, but you're on both sides, like, you can justify it. I want to know how you justify that. Cool. Go on, Liz, what are you saying?
I think as well, some people have this misconception of, which I did as well, I was guilty of it, where you think that, you know, they get the animal's treated lovely and it's all done, you know, properly in a lab, and they just put some lipstick on the lips of the animal. It's not, it's really not. And like you say, you know, the eyes open, you know, that they'll just stick things in them. They'll, you know, the chemicals they put on them and the reactions that it has on their skin, you know, shaving their hair off, cutting them, like seeing if there's a reaction, if, you know, with regards to their blood. And it's just not justifiable. So yeah, and I think a lot of companies have now, as we've moved forward with the times, are now saying, you know, they're all saying, well, not all, a lot of them are saying on their products, you know, we're against animal cruelty, not tested on animals.
Yeah, like, okay, let's look at it from a perspective of companies that are on a budget, can't afford to take the product and do human trials, because humans want paying. Animals might not want paying, or they think they don't want paying, you know what I mean? But if you're going to test on humans, yeah, I'll do it, but the price has got to be right. You know what I mean? Test our product for 30 days, let us know what happens to your skin. Has it ever been tested before? No. Okay, I'm the first. Yeah. All right, then I want insurance, and I want to know, like, okay, what's my price? I don't actually know what my price is. I've never been in that position, but I'd like to, if I had time to think about it, I'd be like, right, I've got to test this hand cream for 30 days, have no idea what it's going to do to my skin. Got to let them know. For all I know, that can give me like 3rd-degree burns. That's going to scar my skin for life. You know what I mean? I want decent
But
amount of money.
why is it that you're, you know, there would be uproar if that happened to you, if say you lost your life, you know, testing a cream. But with animals, over the years, people have turned a blind eye or not even realize what goes into the products they have in their homes. So if a little rabbit or a monkey or whatever they have in the lab, a mouse or rat, you know, has something put on them, and the chemical reaction is that rat is then blind, and then the rat dies. Oh, just get rid of it out of the cage, bring another one in. Why is their life worth nothing in the eyes of those testing compared to us?
Yeah, and here's the thing too, like, I would love to know what you guys think about this, what I'm about to say right now. Do human testing on people who are sentenced to death. If you are sentenced, death sentence, like you've committed a crime that is unforgivable, like there is no way you are allowed to continue to live, I think we should do the test on them. That's just what I think. And if you don't,
if
you
they're
don't,
absolutely
know,
100% proven guilty, then yes, because there are always the odd, you know, a lot of people on death row not necessarily are guilty. However, yes, Chris, I'm with you on that. If they are 100%, they've done horrible crime, yes, human trials on them. Because if they've been sentenced to death anyway.
So I just want to butt in there and say, even if they are going to die and they're on death row, you want them to suffer beforehand.
Lucas,
already taken their life anyway.
Okay, I'll put you in a scenario, yeah, why they're on death row, yeah. I've got family, I've got a sister, I've got siblings, she's got nieces and that. I'll tell you a story of a guy that was drunk driving, killed this girl. If that was my niece or my sister or my mum or even me, guys, like, think about it. It's unforgivable. I don't think people know how serious drink driving is. Unforgivable. You knew what you're doing. You know what you're doing. If you're drinking, don't drive. And I'm going to say that on this podcast, and everyone should be in agreement with me. You don't do it, because there has been cases of people dying innocently because of a drunk driver. That drunk driver, therefore, should not be allowed to live any longer. You take a life. And yes, from my perspective, killing my little nieces or my sister, you are going to suffer, because I have to live without them now. I am suffering. So yeah, it gets my vote. Human testings on that person. I don't care. They've made that forfeit. They made that choice. And I think because that punishment is so bad, it will definitely make people think twice before they drink drive again. Now, not just with drink driving, that's just an example. We could use that on any crime. And I think most people would then deter away from crime if the punishment was so bad. But because the punishment isn't that bad, people take the risk, or they think, I'm not going to get caught. It's not even worth that. You should then thought process shouldn't even come into your mind. It should be so fearful that you do not make that choice. That's my opinion. And yeah, Lucas, you said it yourself, suffering. So if you are agreeing that animal testing is suffering for the animals, why are we doing it? You got to comment, let us know. And if you like what we're talking about, guys, hit the subscribe button as well. You know it's right.
It's hard, isn't it? Because even if we think, okay, somebody's done an awful crime, they should, be up for human trials, if they've been sentenced to death anyway. It's hard because, like Lucas says, is it fair then that they are put through that before they die? But then if we say that, it's the same for animals, but animals don't have a voice. At least that person who has committed that crime has a voice to say, even if they disagree with what's being done to them, they can sit there and shout and say what have you, but animals can't. Animals will squeak or squeal or, but it just gets disregarded.
Is the death sentence, should it even exist? Does taking someone's life, even regardless of what they've done, is that right? Do two wrongs make a right?
Lucas, I get what you're trying to say here. I know what you're trying to say here. You're trying to say, is it justifiable taking someone's life? And are they even going to learn their lesson? Hence why I'm saying suffering should be involved. They should be made to suffer. I'm suffering. If I take a loss like that, a loss so deep where a parent loses its child because of someone else's negligence, that person has a right. I think you take the life that didn't belong to me, but belonged to my sibling or belonged to my kid. How do you think they feel? How do you think? Do you believe that? Do you think? I'll ask the killer. Let's change roles for a sec. Look me in the eye as if I've done you the wrong. You've done me. How would you like to deal with me? And if they told me, oh, I'd love to be put in prison and just like, I'd forgive you. I'd forgive you. Stop talking shit. Stop it. You wouldn't forgive me.
How do you think you would feel if you were standing in a line with that person that you care about and you watched them go ahead in front of you and they were killed right in front of you and you saw it? How do you think you would feel? Because when they line up cows in slaughterhouses, the cow behind the one that goes ahead and gets slaughtered in front of them, they have to watch that, and it causes them distress. It causes them angst, and it causes them, and it's been proven now that it does affect them and that they do feel it. And I mean, it shouldn't have had to have been proven, but it has.
You're right. I'll tell you a story. Yeah, there was this farmer who had cattle cows longest of time. He inherited his farm from generations of farmers, and one day he noticed that when he lets them out into the field to graze, get a bit of exercise, that one of the cows would disappear. She'd go right to the back of the field, and he had like this woodlands in the back of the field, and it'd go into the woodlands, and it'd always come back when he rang the bell or whatnot. And he said to himself one day, I'm going to follow her and just see what she gets up to, because she always disappears. He followed her, and what he found amazed him. It amazed everyone that he tells the story as well, myself included. He said that when I followed her into the woods, she had a baby calf in there. And the reason why she had the baby calf in there, was hid in the woods, is so that it wouldn't have to come back to the house, because the cow knows what goes on in that house and she doesn't want that for her baby.
Oh my gosh.
So she hid it in the woods. And that's a true story. You can Google that, look that up. And if that don't make you think about a mother's bond,
so sad,
regardless of animal,
so sad.
Yeah, regardless of animal, a mother's bond. You can see a cat with kittens. You can see a dog with puppies. It's a fact. And when you separate those two, it's not your right. You don't have a right to do that. But yes.
There's videos as well. There's a number of videos all over the internet of, when they are trying to take the calf away from the cow, the mother, and you can see the mother is fighting and fighting and fighting it and trying to guard the calf and trying to, not allow it to be taken away. It makes you wonder what goes through animals' minds, really, when they see us humans approach them, what they must actually think.
My theory is this, Liz, yeah, my friend Lucas, my theory is this, that let's go to this day and age. I'm not talking about the past, okay? Forget the past. Things existed in the past that you will stand up and say, I wasn't part of that. You can't blame me for that. Okay, cool. I'm not going to blame you for that. Like racism, I'm not going to blame you for what happened in the past because we live in this day and age, and that's cool. However, this day and age, 2021, when we actually do not need to consume animals to stay alive anymore. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? That's like saying we got central heating, but let's just still light fires. Why would we do that? And there's this massive industry that obviously make a lot of money from slaughtering animals and selling this and selling that. And, you know, it make you rich, make you stupidly rich, stinking rich, filthy rich, blood hand money rich, because you're selling death. And people will justify it when they say, yeah, but I need the taste. I love it. You know, I'm a carnivore.
Protein.
I said all these things. I used to say all these things. I used to. And the reason I say used to is because I didn't want to change. Like I didn't like the idea of change, didn't want to change. Whatever, man, you'll find your growth when you're ready to. But that's my biggest question is 2021, no longer need to do it. Why do we still do it? And this got me into the other, you know, during protests, and I see police on horses. Someone posted on their timeline that I know a picture of a police horse being, you know, battered and bruised. Someone threw a brick at the police horse during a riot, and the horse got hurt. But the thing is, my thing is this: who took the horse to a riot? What did you expect at a riot? You cannot now say, look at these rioters, look what they do to this animal. You're using the animal as a scapegoat. The reality is you took the animal to the riot. You should be held responsible for what happens to that animal. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
baffling.
That's awful.
If it's like me taking, I relate to my nieces. I take my niece to Afghanistan and then start telling the world Taliban shot my niece. What?
Why would you take her in the first place?
Yeah, to Afghanistan. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. Human, I don't know. I don't understand why they couldn't see that. Like at one point, you're trying to make the horse look like such a delicate, precious thing that shouldn't be harmed, and then on the other side of it, you know, when it does get harmed, you want to use that. You want to say, but yeah, it's a horse. Like we don't harm horses. Then why'd you take it? It does baffle me.
I think that we're humans, how we are with animals, full stop. You know, controlling them and just thinking we can do whatever we like with them. Like, don't get me wrong, I know there are some species on this earth that are endangered and that we have done certain things to try and, you know, protect endangered animals so that they still exist. I still feel like, you know, we've got this kind of hierarchy about us when it comes to animals, and that we have this God-given right to just do what we like with them, and there's no thought or consequence. You know, they're just animals. And I just think that, you know, people always say, oh, we should all be equal, we should all, every single thing on this planet, every single living being, be it human, animal, what have you, we should all, you know, be regarded as what we are, and not just, I'm just gonna, you know, make a business out of this and I'm just gonna make money off of their misery and their death. How is that fair? You know, slavery was, you know, deemed as cruel and, you know, abolished. You can't make money off of slaves. You know, what are we doing with animals?
Yeah, the disconnect. Now, I put you in a scenario. A more advanced sentient being, living, breathing, speaking. We don't understand the language because we speak different languages. And they are way, way, way more advanced in technology than we are, to the point where they have laser guns, to the point where they have hovercrafts, to the point where they have flying spaceships. And I'm talking about actual guns. I'm talking about cars. I'm talking about airplanes. Animals see us with this stuff. They're not stupid. That's why dogs are looking at us so submissive and so obedient, because they know you feed me. So they'll do whatever you want. You can train a dog to roll over, train a dog to behave. All you got to do is starve it. You can literally do that. And this is my point about zoos. We're going to get onto this in a sec. However, because we speak a language that they don't understand, it's alien to them. Because we use things that they don't understand, it's alien to them. And my point being this, a more advanced sentient being, if it came to this planet, we would see it as an alien. Yet it is no different to how an animal views us. And if we would want those aliens to treat us kindly, treat us nicely, because we communicate just like birds tweet and dogs bark, we communicate as humans, we speak. However, if a more powerful, more dominant, more advanced sentient being came to this earth, God, please save us if they treat us like we treat animals. Can you imagine getting a group of us, 100 human beings, rallied up into a room, and then one by one being taken into another room, and you see them go through the plastic sheets, and you hear a human scream because they're getting slaughtered. And then the next one goes in, and then the next one goes in. You're up next. What are you going to do? You're going to fucking shit yourself. You're kicking, you're screaming. You don't want to go in there. You know what's going to happen when you go in there. And that's no different from 100 pigs or 100 cows in that situation. That's exactly what's going on. It's mad. I went on a stag do, and this was a couple of years ago. And it was a very, very, like, you know, I don't know why, stereotypical alpha man thing to do. Stag do, isn't it? And we went to a place called the Meat Wagon to eat. And me being vegan, the people that owned the restaurant were so nice. They actually they ordered me in a vegan platter. But, you know, I couldn't, at the time, I guess I had to be patient with the people around me. However, when the table was laid, there was just carcasses everywhere. Now, some will look at it like food. Some will be like, yum, yum, yum. And I'm just in my mind thinking, wow, like the thought process is different. They see food, I see carcasses, I see dead flesh. And, you know, they asked me the question, do you not miss this? And do you not want to eat some? And I actually explained to them exactly what I just explained to you about rallying up all of us in a room, and then a more powerful being. Let's look at size comparison to a chicken to a human. What are we, like 10 times the size of a chicken? Can you imagine an alien coming from outer space being 10 times the size of you, grab you, and you don't want to be grabbed, so you're trying to fight it? You're not going to win the fight. And then it just puts you on a wooden place in front of all the boys here. I said to them, in front of every one of us, all of us are just sitting here watching this happen. And then you bang, that one's head gets chopped off. Say it was you there, Steve. And Steve's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, right, you're up next. And then it's you, and I'm next. You know how you think, you know how you'd feel. And it is no different for these animals. And, you know, the conversation kind of took a different turn. They started to actually appreciate what I was talking about. Now, I know that some people aren't ready to receive the message or the lesson, and that's fine, but never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
Powerful thing. So let's go into training animals with food, submissive, obedient animals. And let's talk about that killer whale that had enough and killed its. Do you guys know about it?
Yeah.
You know about that? Lucas, you know about that?
Yeah.
Go on, talk to me.
So it was in America. They had this killer whale, and they used to give it, like, feed it and get it to do tricks and stuff in front of other people. And then it had enough, and it started killing the trainers or the feeders that were going in. And I can't remember how many it killed, but it killed and injured quite a few.
It was about 15, wasn't it?
Go on, Liz, what do you know about it?
I think it was about 15. Yeah. He just, every time I think they thought they could bring another one in to train him. He just was having none of it, absolutely none of it. He'd obviously looked at them as just evil. He wanted to be free, and he wasn't free. He was trapped and caged, and that's alien to them. You know, they're big, humongous creatures, whales, and we think we can just keep them in a little, okay, it's a big tank to us, but to them it's not. Yeah, and basically he killed a lot of people that tried to train him.
And the question is always, would you?
He knew he was doing it because they said that he kept, obviously he did so many, and he was, you know, I think that was a message he was trying to communicate to us.
Yeah, bring me another, I'll do the same.
We weren't getting it though, yeah, because they kept going back in there.
I think some people believe they owned him or her. I don't know if it was a him or her. But
also the thing that's wrong in this is that, so he was put in a situation where he was trapped, and he was, you know, kept for monetary gain and for training so that he could do shows. And, you know, he never signed a contract. He wasn't even thought of in that respect, because he was living his life in the ocean, and we just went along and grabbed him and thought, yeah, we'll gain money from him. So I think it was 15 that he killed. I could be wrong on that, don't quote me on that. But he killed quite a few of the trainers, and then they were in talks of basically ending his life because he'd killed so many trainers. So how is it fair to put something, let's say animal or being, you know, human being, in a situation where they are completely alien and taken out of their natural environment and made to do things that they don't wish to do, and basically made to go insane by living in such small, you know, facility compared to what they're used to? And their way of communicating and saying, I don't want this, is by reacting a certain way to every single trainer that comes out to feed them or train them or what have you. Now, that whale might not realize when it's pulling them into the water that it's killing them. It might. I don't know, I'm not a whale, but, you know, so how is it justifiable then that we say, right, you've killed so many trainers, we're going to get rid of you because you're not doing what we want, we can't make any money from you, you're a danger?
And instead of releasing it back into the wild,
if that whale had been left in its own environment to roam the oceans, that is its natural habitat, is it doing anything wrong?
Exactly. So, like, let's talk about like this. When you are raised in captivity, the damage is already done. You don't know no different. To release an animal that's institutionalized and, you know, raised in captivity, to release it into the wild is cruel. It isn't trained.
And dangerous.
Yeah, it hasn't had the upbringing that it needs. So therefore, it's too late. The damage is done. However, taking an animal from the wild and putting it into captivity, it's just evil. It's evil. It's mean.
It's, to me, zoos and like SeaWorlds and places like that, they are animal prisons.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I know a lot of people say, no, some animals have to be in there because they're endangered or what have you. I don't know. When I see a tiger going up and down, up and down, up and down in a zoo, I can't go. I can't go because.
Do you not think that the zoos give animals better? I'm not saying all of them, but some of them give them better environments because they're getting medication, they're being watched under, they're encouraged to breed and reproduce so they can.
I can see that side of it, but I just feel like it's not natural. Like, their natural path for that animal is to be out in the wild and is to know about predator, prey, how to survive, you know, and if they fall or if they cut themselves, like, they naturally, you know, go off into a cave and do what they're going to do. or what have you. I just, as much as I can see the way people would look at it as, but they're being looked after. It's the same as saying, well, you know, would you want to go into prison, Lucas, and you get 3 meals a day and you get to watch TV and you've got shelter, but you don't get to actually go out to your wild uni parties and you don't get to see your family and you
Okay,
don't,
then,
but if you fall over in prison, you'll be straight into hospital and you'll be looked after.
yeah. Okay, have you, either of you two, ever had any pets at all?
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
So that is your own choice, and you are controlling another animal. So
Mhm.
I hate to, like, I don't want to point fingers or anything, but you can't agree with having a pet and controlling it, and then not. It's like people in
Zoo.
glass houses shouldn't throw stones,
Hold on
regardless
a
of how
minute.
big the
Mhm.
house is.
Before you,
I don't have, I don't have.
before you label me a hypocrite, I'm not, because before I knew what I know now, I was a different person. I wasn't born vegan. And I can put my hands up and say most people are not born vegan, because we have to get into this spiritual enlightenment. We have to get into this knowledge and understanding. I've been to SeaWorld, Lucas. I've been to zoos.
I've
And
been to zoos.
before the penny dropped, before it, you know, before I could make choices for myself, before my mind was free, before I was vegan, I was very, very into the system. So much so that I loved zoos, that I loved having a pet, that I loved eating meat, because I wasn't thinking for myself. I was just repeating. I'm just a product of the big system that's made me be what I was. My pets, yeah, they were captured and they were exotic. I had a scorpion and I had a chameleon. And the chameleon didn't like its natural habitat, so I got rid of it. The scorpion died, and yet at my hands, but way before I was wise enough to understand what I was doing. Had I been raised by people who knew what I was doing, the process wouldn't have happened. So I think we're definitely on this cusp. We're on this new, like, mind opening cusp. Might not be my generation that solves the problem, probably be the next generation that solves the problem. However, they are up against industries that are built on animal cruelty. And it's really, really hard to defeat these massive industries and corporations when you're just little old you or little old me, or, you know, it's really, really difficult. So the power does lie in the masses, really. You got to stop going to zoos. You got to stop putting money into these things, because all they're going to do is get more animals, and they will justify it. I love that you said that, Lucas, because, you know, you probably speak for a lot of people that might be watching right now. If you feel like it's justifiable, then you really do need to look at why you think that.
Is it any different though? Is it different? Do you feel it's different because you personally take care of that dog or that cat or whatever it is that you have? So you don't feel like it's captive because you take it for walks, you let it run around, it's got a luxury bed, you know, it gets to sleep on your lap, you give it cuddles and love and affection. So we're very easily, I think, manipulated into thinking that that isn't cruel and that we're okay, you know, we're taking care. And I mean, I grew up with animals. I love animals. I used to have a dog. I don't anymore. And I love dogs. Absolutely love them. But it does you and the thing is, I've got friends and family that have dogs and they take absolute wonderful care of them, and they are completely loved and devoted, and you know, they have the best lives. It's what we think they have.
Lucas, do you know why a dog
But
won't bite you?
Because you feed it.
Now, do you know why it won't bite you?
Why?
Because you tell it not to. Do you know why a cat will scratch you?
Why?
Because it don't need you like a dog does.
Yeah. There was one thing that I wanted to bring up as well. So you talk about all these animals that should go into the wild and they should be released back into nature's control. But so far we've segregated ourselves as humans from animals, but ideally we are still animals. We're just very evolved compared to them. But we are all linked through the food chain, which is a natural thing. And there are other animals that eat other animals. We are an animal. We are not the only ones consuming other animals. And obviously we've industrialized it and everything, but the basic principle is the same. So you can sit here and say, oh, veganism, we shouldn't eat anything. But the natural process that God put, or however you want to believe, if you're religious or not, that was a natural thing that is seen in the past as the food chain.
Does it have to be natural?
Does that sort of make any sense?
Does it have to be now? Because, you know, over time we evolve, don't we?
Yeah.
This is my point about this day and age.
So why then should thousands, millions, billions of animals die a year for the sake of our entertainment, our consumption, products, clothing, whatever it is? Why do they need to when we have so many alternatives? So, we have fake fur. Why do we need to kill animals to get their fur? We have fake fur. We have products that make imitations of that. So therefore, if we have that, why are animals still getting killed for their fur? It makes the logic, like, and we cow's milk, it's in the name, give you a clue, is for cows. Mm-hmm. So we have all these other alternatives, which, again, some are aware of, some are not, some don't want to be aware of it, which is fine. I just feel like we are getting there, we are moving that way, but I just feel like it's not now justifiable in this day and age for billions of animals to die every year unnecessarily.
Is that because they're living things?
Yes, and because they just don't need, and because they just don't need to be, bless you, they don't need to be used.
So they are living. That is the underlying issue. So
no, that's not the underlying issue, because a plant is living. These things.
That's what I was going to say.
But these things have nervous systems, Lucas. Therefore, they feel pain. Plants don't have that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. Plants are conscious, like they know how to grow. Roots can grow, and they take the direction of whatever the sunlight lights and wherever the best nutrients are. Plants grow. However, they don't feel. They can sense. They have that ability. And yeah, science shows when you have a nervous system, you can feel pain. That there gives you, the reason why animals don't want to be, that's why not to kick a dog. You'll hear it go, ow, 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 ow. You'll feel that.
And the dog will associate that action with pain, because the next time somebody goes to do that to that dog will whimper or be submissive. Yeah. So they're aware that action causes pain. The same as, in the slaughterhouses when they're lining up, the ones at the back know what's coming. They know what's coming because they can see what's happening to the other ones, and they can.
I've just Googled just to double check, and this is what it says. Plants may lack brains, but they have a nervous system of sorts. And now plant biologists have discovered that when a leaf gets eaten, it warns other leaves by using some of the same signals as animals. So if you were saying that, pardon?
What are those signals? It doesn't have a nervous system. There is no brain connected to the nervous system. No, what you just Googled there, send me the link to that, because first and foremost, Google represent like 1% of the internet's, just so you know, 1% of what's available on the internet. And it will always promote whatever's paid to be at the top of the page. So be very wary of that. Because
it was from a science magazine that is highly established. That's why I went to it, because I do know that obviously if you go to Wikipedia.
Well, I've just Googled, do plants feel pain? And it says, given that plants do not have pain receptors, nerves, or a brain, they do not feel pain as we members of the animal kingdom understand it.
Right.
They display a clear sensory capacity. Recent research has shown that other plants are able to perceive and respond to stimuli at a cellular level, but they do not feel pain.
Yeah, so responding to stimuli from a cellular level, that's like how you evolve. You need to have that to warn off for your DNA. For me to pass trauma down to my children, that has to go through my DNA. I can't physically tell them before they're born. I have to give it to them through cellular stimuli. Like, you know, it goes into my sperm cells and into the DNA to warn them of certain animals. That's why you get scared of snakes or whatever. However, when it comes to actually feeling pain, they don't feel it like we feel it. It's not the same. But this is what I talk about, sentient beings. Back to your question, Lucas, about, you know, living things. It's not all living things. It's sentient beings. And that's it.
What makes a sentient being? Someone that's just superior to everyone else?
No. It's not like that. Let's forget about this superiority complex, right, to begin with, because I'm going to debunk this very quickly. When we were evolving, we were scavengers. We'd eat the carcasses left behind by bigger dominant predators. That's a fact. And the only reason why we did that is because, believe it or not, it was a luxury. It was a luxury. We actually didn't even have fire. We couldn't even chew raw meat. We'd sit there for hours chanking on one bit of flesh. Nah. We weren't digesting that. It wasn't actually enjoyable at all. But because vegetation was so scarce, we didn't have a choice. However, when vegetation was ripe, trust me when I tell you this, we were vegan, Lucas. We're vegan before we're meat eaters, before we're carnivores. In actual fact, our consumption right now in this day and age is ridiculous in comparison to what we've been built to do. We've actually been built to survive 24 hours without food. Our body actually eats the protein that's dormant in our body. When our body has reserves that's stagnant, we eat like 3 meals a day minimum every 4 hours we eat. That wasn't like that for us. That isn't how it should be for us. Our brains actually need a lot of blood in it to function properly, right? If you're eating constantly, the blood from the brain goes to the vital organ. They're doing a lot of work. The gut, the digestive system, the stomach, it's working overload. So you're not actually using your brain a lot. That's why people get this fog, this mind fog when they finished eating. Oh, I need to sit down. I can't move. All the blood's gone from your muscles in your brain into your gut. We're not built for that. We're actually built to eat very little or light food. We're supposed to be energized from it. You're supposed to eat an apple here, a banana there, watermelon if you get your hands on it, potatoes, yams, broccolis, even though broccoli is not a great example because it's man-made. But, you know, we're supposed to be eating this fresh leaf, greens, and high carb diet, grains, because you're on the go. You can escape a predator, right? Only for the last, like, say, I don't know, 800 years, compared to the thousands that we've been evolving through, we are now eating a lot more than before. And in actual fact, it's killing us. Like, we're not using our brains as well as we should be. You know, as far as like species superiority goes, it's absurd. It's absurd to think that we are superior. We as a collective are not, compared to, like, as far as numbers go. You can get 1,000 dolphins, test all the different brains of those dolphins. Their intellect is ridiculous per ratio wise. However, you get 1,000 humans lined up, probably 1 out of the 1,000 intellect wise is high. Our ratio is quite shit in comparison to dominance of intellect as far as species go. You could line up 1,000 monkeys and test the intellect of each individual monkey, and they'll probably all score very, very high for what they're capable of. For the ratio wise, it'd be every one. Whereas you get 1,000 humans, test them all, our flipping intelligence ranges. I'm not writing symphonies. I'm not discovering the atom. Do you know what I mean? I'm not designing skyscrapers. very, very few human beings are able to actually reach our potential. And I'll be very, very interested to know what their diet is, sleep pattern is, upbringing is. We're a very, very...
They're all factors, huge factors.
Yeah, massively. So as far as dominance goes, unfortunately, the mass number of human beings that are living a life of luxury and have taken advantage of the intellect of other human beings, that's where we're currently at. We pride ourselves too much. We think we're smarter than we are and we're superior than we are, when in actual fact, we're so vulnerable, it's ridiculous.
Who actually set it that we have to have 3 meals a day? When did that become a standardized meal plan for every single human? Because we're all different, aren't we? We're all different sizes. We eat different. Like at school, all the tests, like not everybody learns the same. Not everybody takes in information the same. Not everybody concentrates the same. So how can we all be put into this conditioned way of thinking 3 meals a day is what is healthy? I don't eat 3 meals a day. I don't eat meat, but I don't eat 3 meals a day. And I actually feel better when I don't, when I eat less than when I eat 3 meals a day. So today I certainly haven't eaten 3 meals a day. I've had 1 meal today. And the rest of what I have eaten, like this morning and whilst I was working, I had an apple, then I had an orange. And then when I came home this afternoon, I had sweet potato, avocado, and onions in a wrap. And that's what I've eaten. And then I had a little bit of vegan chocolate.
I'll tell you what's interesting for me. Personally,
but I feel better. I feel more full of energy and buzzy. If I do the whole breakfast, lunch, dinner, I do get that fog and I do feel heavy. You know, even though what I eat is relatively healthy, I still feel like some days I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much.
Like the human brain fires off like millions and millions and like signals, neurons, and I know this from experience that when I'm on a roll, when I'm actually hitting sixes as a metaphor, unstoppable, if I've got like a high work rate to get through, I don't want to stop to eat. Don't stop me now. I'm on a roll. Don't you feel like you should eat? I know I'm hungry, but if I stop, I'll lose momentum. Don't let me I don't need to stop. And that's because your body knows it's not going to die. You don't have to stop and eat. You're on fire. Keep going. Push that momentum. That's what you're designed to be. That's what you're designed to do. Stop and eat when the job's done. Don't go for the instant gratification. Go for the delayed gratification. Get the work done. Use this energy, use this momentum that you've got, and then you'll have time after. Don't worry. If you crash, that's also what you're designed to do. And when was the last time you had a good sleep? I mean, you got to push yourself. You got to get there first. And yeah, as far as a dominant species go, it's too easy for us now. Like we're not actually pushing us. I say everyone, that's not fair. But yeah, as far as ratio goes, then our far superior as opposed to our most stupidest people on the planet. Yeah, there's a lot more of the stupider, unfortunately, but we are taken care of very, very well by our superiors. But back to the question in hand, like before, animals don't have voices. They don't speak in our tongue. They don't speak human. The closest ones are the ones who understand and can do on command what we want. Like dogs, they figure it out. They know because their life depends on it pretty much. That's how they feel anyway. They must understand that. For this life of luxury that I live with this lovely family, I must do what they say. And they're not stupid. They obviously see other dogs and they know that dog probably doesn't have that same life when they see a stray or they look confused or they don't understand. Some dogs get so protective of their owner, so protective because they know you're not taking my spot. Fuck off. Bah, 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 bah. They know. They're not stupid. Cats, on the other hand, they'll fuck you up if they want to. If they will hover over you while you sleep and they say, oh, fuck you up. But they won't, obviously. They know. They'll scratch you up. Do you want to know what, this is my theory, I don't know if it's true, why cats leave dead birds at your doorstep?
I don't know. I used to work for somebody, and my old boss was they loved cats. Okay, they read a lot of books about cats, and they were convinced that cats were put on our planet by another life form, aliens or something, and that they're they're messaging back to them about us and our behavior. Yeah, it was quite funny, the conversations we used to have, but also quite interesting actually, because they thought the same about cats. Like they don't care, they will do what they want to do to you, so they're not like dogs.
Yeah. So when a cat watches you eat, this is my theory, right? When a cat watches you eat and they see you cook a chicken and put it in the center of the table, it registers you eat birds. So when it wants to, it thinks, oh, I'll leave you a bird at your doorstep because it thinks you eat birds. It doesn't see nothing else other than what it sees, right? And everyone's like, no, that's not true. It leaves you that because it likes the bird.
What about when it brings you half of a mouse?
Well, it probably still sees you eating meat, isn't it? It probably, I mean, if you were vegan, it'd probably leave you a bunch of leaves. It'd be like, you don't eat rats, do you? You don't eat chickens, you eat birds. Yeah, here's a bunch of leaves. You know what I find funny, right? This is the God's honest truth. When we talk about veganism, a lot of people be like, oh man, what is this veganism? People think diet. I'm not talking about diet. Vegan is the word.
It's not a diet. It's not.
Yeah, it's to expand the mind. If you can see a zoo as a prison for animals, if you go down the meat aisle in the shopping center and see carcasses, if you can understand global warming, if you can understand the contribution of plastic and recycling, and if you understand animal cruelty in regards to the fur, like Liz mentioned, and makeup, then what you're thinking is vegan. If you watch the film Free Willy and you get it, you're vegan. If you watch the film 101 Dalmatians and you get Cruella de Vil, you're vegan. If you get it, you're partly there. And it's just, you know, how much more can you do to be better?
Mm-hmm. We all play a part. We all should play a positive part. It all.
Now, me, I've done activism once, so I can't even call myself an activist. So I went on an animal rights march back in 2019. Now,
I've never done it. Please tell us about it.
It's just mind-blowing that sometimes I used to see people marching with their banners, and this is in the streets of London, by the way. Massive march it was. And there's people with their banners, and you're part of that movement. And I used to be on the other side of the barriers. I used to be looking in on people marching and parading. And I used to be like, yeah, crazy. I'd never do that. I'm not one of those people. And then to be on the inside, looking out, looking at the people looking at me, I'd say, I can't, but I used to be you. I used to be you looking at me. I know what you think about me now. And it does take that step to really understand why it's so important to march.
Because I do admire their passion.
Yeah.
And, you know,
when you see people chaining themselves to trees, you might think that's a bit extreme. Wait till you make that decision to chain yourself to a tree. If it was the last tree on earth, your only oxygen left, would you chain yourself to it?
Hell yes.
Of course you would. And then there's just people that get it way beyond we do. We're not at a point of crisis yet. We're not at a point where we feel like the damage isn't done yet. However, let's reference 2020 early on when those Amazon rainforests were getting burnt down. Even Australia caught a fire. Like, you know, these forest fires are a danger to us, but some would say conspiracies like, they were done on purpose because they need new fields to plant for cattle grazing and whatnot. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The truth of the matter is we don't have reserve trees, man. Like that shit goes, we go. We ain't got a second chance. I love how they're trying to find new planets to live on. I'm all for that. We must try. However, let's take care of what we got right now. You know, we can't put all of our all-in money on that. We're going to find another planet. Why don't we use all that money to fix this one?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a real whistle going on in someone's mic. I think it's you, Liz. I don't know what it is.
I can hear that.
Like
I haven't got a clue what it is. I think it might be radiator.
Someone's listening to our conversation. They're like, get
Oh, no, worry now.
Get them off now. They're doing it. They're trying to do the good stuff. It's
Could
true.
be
If
the
you start
aliens.
speaking, you start speaking like this too loudly. If you've got a message that's so powerful, they'll do you like MJ. They will do you like Diana. They'll do you like JFK. They'll do you like Tupac. They will, because it's a very, very powerful thing. You know, being vegan, everyone will be like, oh my God, you're a bit extreme. I'm like, I'm not extreme. I'm awake, bro. It's like Morpheus came to me and said, take the blue pill. I'll tell you everything you need to know. Take the red pill. You'd wake up back at your home. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever the pills were. And when you unlock the power of your mind to think for yourself, rather than the conditioning that you have been exposed to from birth, you become unstoppable. Like, you actually gain perspective beyond social norm. This is why you have the conversation of,
I think it's so powerful when you kind of don't allow yourself to be conditioned, or you question things that people are still conditioned, or they want to try and condition you. I think it's so powerful to be a free thinker and to go against what you have learnt growing up and being conditioned to being in the system. I think it's very powerful.
The system is good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's definitely made an industry, made a Western world, should I say, that we live in. But it just takes away this connection that we have, this spiritualness. Like, we've got so much potential, like so much going on upstairs, like the power of the mind, so much power in our brains, that it's dumbed down the older you get if you buy into that system, because you focus more on keeping that clockwork going rather than expanding your being. Like, you're a miracle. Like, you're very special. The timeline, like, it's huge. It's massive. You're the one sperm that made it. That's a beautiful thing. Like, it's magic.
Amazing.
It shouldn't be odd. It should be seen as what it is. It's fucking amazing. Like, you're not coincidence either. But the more we buy into the system, the more we buy into the 365 days in a year, 9 to 5, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, money, this, that. Yeah, to a degree, there's a level of living that you have to do if you want to live a life that you want to live. But you also got to try and tap into what you're really put here for. What is your actual purpose, your actual being, your actual existence? What is that? Oh, mate. So let's talk about a few products. Where does the line stop? So when I first turned vegan a couple of years back, yes, I had a leather jacket. And, trainers, it's so difficult. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, do you completely go cold turkey, or do you ease yourself in? Now, I'm of a firm belief that everybody should do what they can within their ability. If you're having to throw your whole wardrobe and you have no clothes left, don't do that. Don't do that. Keep your clothes. Just, make the decision when you want to. Be conscious about it as you go. So my hand wash is from the Co-op, because Co-op do zero, or they don't, no animal cruelty on their products.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a real strong advocate for the Co-op. I love their cleaning products. I trust their cleaning products because there's zero animal cruelty. And that's got nothing to do with my diet. That's just a choice that I make. And then when it comes to loo roll, I know it sounds silly, but I use I'm going to go and get it. But it's Same with washing up liquid. It's so, look, wait there. You probably know this.
I feel like we're selling stuff.
I'll grab a few. I'll grab a few things. Right. So this is my loo roll. It's called Who Gives a Crap, and basically it's just zero plastic. You can buy like, I think it was like 48 rolls I bought, and it comes in a big box, and I got it in my loft now, so I don't have to keep buying loo roll. That's good to go. This is my washing up liquid. You might have seen these before. Eco.
I use that.
Right. And it's just, you got the decision. You can make the choice. It's up to you. Like how vegan you want to be. Do you want to reduce your carbon footprint? Do you want to reduce your plastic waste? Do you want to zero cruelty to animals? And then that's just it. Like, you take it wherever you want it to go. Like, the further you do it, the better you become, the more pride you'll build within yourself as well. I think you're not smug. I'm not trying to say that you're a smug vegan. No, we're higher than others. It's not that. It's just, you know that you're doing your bit. And the only way that these companies will stop using non-recyclable plastic, will stop producing products that are used on animals, is if you stop buying it. That's the bottom
And
line.
if the companies that are not using those products are doing better because people are choosing those and using those, then the companies that are the opposite to those will think, hold on a minute, we need to get on this as well, and we need to be animal cruelty free, we need to be plastic free. So, you know, the power is within the people, it's within us. And also it's not about being smug or being, well, I do this, I do that, I'm a better vegan. It's you know, making the negative impact we have on the planet, not just with animals, but like you say, with plastic, you know, chemicals, products, it's making it as little as possible, and we can all do our bit. I mean, everybody, I remember when I was a kid, we never had the recycling bins. We never did that. That came into, I think when I was in high school, that kind of started to come about, where people were, oh, recycle this, we've got a recycle bin now, we've got to recycle this at school, you know, we can reuse this paper, you know, scrap paper, all of that. So we are moving in the right direction, and you know, it's taking us a little bit of time, but we are. And I just think if we all just made a conscious effort of doing a little bit more, and people are going out and, you know, they've got 2 different bins in their cupboard, you know, one for recycling, one for general rubbish. So we've just got to think about the products as well, under your sink, products in your bathroom. Did your handbag used to be a crocodile or a snake?
I will say it now. There will be a time, hopefully in my lifetime, when people will turn around and say, I can't believe we used to do that. And that was in regards to consuming animals, consuming alcohol and cigarettes, and all the things that are just non-beneficial to human beings in a health sense. I'm not talking about the effort bucket. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in a health sense. We used to smoke on planes, trains, pubs. Now there's a smoke outside rule. And to look back on that, after the social, you know, stigma mindset has been shifted, people now say, I can't believe we used to do that. Like now, because it's socially accepted, it's the way we think now. So yeah, all it takes is for someone to look from the outside, change the perspective of the majority, and then they will say, I can't believe we used to do that. But I hope it happens in my lifetime, for real. Lucas, I know you're not vegan, as in you still eat meat, animals. But do you have any questions for us? Because I wasn't born vegan, bro.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Cool. Because I'll say, for people watching, that I was a full-on carnivore, like to the point where I used to have a biltong machine in my kitchen. So I'd buy meat, cut it up, season it up, and I'd have it curing, drying in my kitchen for a good 3 to 4 days. And I'd look at it and lick my lips and I'd be like, I'm gonna chank on that meat. And it's funny because my brain tells me that that sensation you get when you eat that is what you want. You still want that. So if people say to me, do you miss it? I know how my brain works. I know that I miss the sensory pleasure. I don't lack protein. I'm not nutrient deficient. I get everything I need. But the one thing I like is the sensory pleasure. So when I bite into an apple, it's like, that's a nice, crunchy, sweet apple. That's flavor. That's texture. That's the sensory. That's what I'm talking about. When I used to eat that meat, it's the chew, the juice, the meat, the feel. It's sensory. And when anyone asks me, like, do you miss it? I can actually turn around and say, I don't anymore, because I get that sensory pleasure from the alternatives now. Some of the sausages that are being made, vegan sausages, vegan chicken, vegan meat. And it's just like, yeah, you'll be very surprised. It's actually better. Vegan bacon is better. Like, it tastes better. The sensory is better. I don't miss, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's what I would like to say on that, because I think that's very important to help people understand what it is exactly about meat that you're not willing to give up, that you don't want to lose. Because I know why you think the way you think. You need to understand why you think that way. And it is nothing but sensory pleasure.
It was very easy for me to give up meat because I didn't actually really have a very big sensory pleasure when eating it. So, yeah, I was never really a big meat eater. Obviously, I did eat some in my lifetime growing up and when I was a teenager. But yeah, I just was really funny about it. And I just, sometimes I would eat a piece of chicken and I would just wouldn't agree with me. I just didn't, I don't know what it, I can't explain it. So I think that I just never really got on well with it. So when people ask me, actually people don't ask me, I haven't been asked for a very long time if I miss it, because most people that I'm around that know me know I didn't really do well with it in the first place. But the odd, people that I might meet through work that I don't know will say to me, do you not miss the taste? And I would say, actually, I didn't really enjoy the taste. And sometimes people struggle with that because it's a sensory, I don't know, but they love the taste themselves, and so they expect me to have had the same love for it. But no, I don't struggle with it, and I actually sometimes smell meat cooking, and I can smell the fat or the juices that come out of the meat, and it actually has the opposite effect on me. I'm like, oh, where some people are like, oh, can you smell that pork, or can you smell that beef? I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really like it. So the only one thing I did think used to smell okay was bacon when it was cooked. However, I'm again not a big fan of that. I don't eat it, so, but yeah. So I think it is, I think people see vegan or vegetarian, not eating flesh, eating meat as a loss to their taste or their sensory. They see it as, oh, I couldn't give it up because it's so delicious, and I need to feed that. I need my taste buds to have that. Whereas I don't eat any animals. I don't eat meat, and the food I eat is so delicious. It's better. I eat better now than I did before. 100%.
One of the biggest myths as well that a lot of my friends say is, I will die, Jules. I'll get all skinny.
I'll be hungry.
I'll die. My skin will change color. I'll lose my teeth. I'll be so. And I'm like, bro, I've been vegan 2 years. Look at me, man. What do you think this
Full
is?
set of teeth there. Full set of teeth.
And I'm happier as well than I've ever been in my life. Like, I don't know how to explain this to people. that when you switch into eating a more like plant-based diet, it's almost as if your brain gets a break from all of the stuff you consume, because you are what you eat. I don't think people get this when I explain that to people, how you are what you eat. Yes, you are the nutrients and the macronutrients, what you consume. However, you are also the carried over cell. So this is what, when you read up, Lucas, earlier about plants transferring over these pain, and how I explained how trauma can get passed through DNA. Cells take on a structure when exposed to certain frequencies, right? You can see this when you listen to music. When you put music next to a pool of water, you can see the vibrations of sound. When a note hits the correct note, the vibrations look clarity. Same like snowflakes, same like screenshots of vibrations. Basically, when water is exposed to harsh sounds and harsh pitches and harsh negative, like heavy metal music, for example, very disruptive, it clashes around. It's not nice. But when water is exposed to peaceful therapeutic noise, it's very calm, very still, very nice frequency and vibration. You can have two cups, one exposed to the heavy metal music and whatnot, and one exposed to the calm and soothing music. And when you consume that, believe it or not, that has an effect on your body, because you are however much percent water. Hence why when you go to a therapy room for, I don't know, a massage, they're not playing heavy metal music. They're playing nice,
They're
calm.
playing whale music.
Right.
Whales in the sea.
Right. And this is my point. When you're exposed to trauma or something very like, you know, violent, or it doesn't make you feel good. You feel anxious or you feel fearful or whatnot. Your cells take on a different structure. If you were to be killed whilst feeling this way, your cells don't change back. They stay as they are. You die the way you feel. That's the same when it comes to other animals, other living things. So if you're consuming something that has undergone trauma, violence, and fear, that cellular structure of the thing you eat, you're then consuming that. Just like the cups of water. Which one do you choose to do? And I just want to let you know, when you don't consume that anymore, you no longer take that on. So you do become happier. You do become more, yeah.
I don't think many people really look at it that way, and I don't think people even think about it in that context. They really don't.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
I do have one question. How certain are you that your diet is the main influence of you feeling better over these years, and what evidence do you have for that?
What is medicine? What is the definition of medicine?
I don't know.
That's
medicine.
my proof. That's my proof. What you are, what you eat. When you consume what you
medicine
consume,
should be natural.
what you
Medicine,
consume,
sorry.
what you consume will alter your state of mind, no matter what it is, whether it's alcohol, whether it's clean water or dirty water, whether it's edible or not. It will alter your state of mind. If I asked you to take a shot of bleach, how do you think your mind will react? First and foremost, the body will react, and it will send signals to the brain, which will then obviously give you the thoughts. However, when you consume things of a good feeling, it changes your mind, it changes your thoughts. Hence why McDonald's have got so good at manufacturing, engineering empty calorific food to give you a instant gratification mind change. However, Soon after that comes the side effects. Same with alcohol, same with consuming meat. But because you've been eating it so many years, you condition yourself to live with that pain, to live with it's almost like a ringing in your ear. If you've been living with that ringing in your ear for years, since young, since child, you then get accustomed to it. You forget it's there. And then when you switch your diet and you get this weight lifted off your shoulders, the ringing stops, you're just like, oh my God, cannot believe I was living with that. And I'll tell you how I know this from personal experience. I actually mistakenly ate a different yogurt once. And when I eat yogurt, I don't eat little yogurts. I eat tubs, full on Alpro. Ooh, the full on Alpro, right? I go in on it. Little fromage frais pots ain't enough for Jules, mate. I ain't eating. What am I, 5? Come on now. So I took this lid off and I just went in. I started eating it. And within about 5 to 6 scoops, my mind changed. This pain, like a flipping migraine, swept over me. I went, oh my fucking God, what is this? And I looked at it and I fucked up. I was like, shit. I threw it, didn't eat no more. I had 2 classes to take. I had my under 14 football team, and then I had my boot camp straight after. And I said to the boys, I do not feel good at all. I might be man down in a minute. And it's because obviously I had come off of dairy for years, and then I just consumed a hell of a lot of it. And I know this because when I used to eat cheese, and a lot of cheese, I used to get this feeling of like allergic reaction. I got heat coming through my face and I'd get prickly skin, and my body's not liking that. So in regards to what I said, what is medicine? When you start to look at a lot of medicine, there's these herbal remedies. The clue's in the name.
It's all plants. It's all, we survived many years in tribes, and we would go into the forest and we would pick berries and we would pick leaves and we would be mashing things up, and yeah, we had our own little remedies. And do you guys know about Dr. Sebi?
Yeah, I do.
He's amazing. And he says the same, Jules. You are what you eat, but also what we eat is our medicine.
Lucas is out. It's been cut off. His internet's been pulled off.
No.
He'll rejoin.
Come back, Lucas.
Scared him off, Liz. You told
I
him about
know.
Dr. He was like, Doctor Who, I'm out.
Dr. Sebi. And they've got Lucas now.
They've took him.
I'm
We want our
sorry,
Lucas
Lucas.
back.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I like Dr. Sebi, and I do believe that, and also I don't know, you've probably heard stories and things, but a few years ago I heard this magnificent story about this lady who was 34 years old at the time, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she had 2 young children. And she went to the consultation with her mother, and obviously her mother was devastated because her daughter was only 34, and her daughter was given by the doctor the chemotherapy leaflet, and talking about radiation and everything. And the 34-year-old, she threw the leaflet on the desk of the doctor and said, I don't want chemo. I can't do it. It will kill me. And her mother was absolutely petrified. And the daughter turned around and said, I'm going to go vegan, and I'm going to look into healing myself. And they gave her 6 months to live without not having the treatment. And 18 months of her going plant-based and completely diving into the whole natural, herbal, medicinal, Dr. Sebi kind of way of living. She had various tests done 18 months after she was told that she only had 6 months to live, and they said that she was cancer free. She had no cancer cells in her body. And I remember reading this article, like I said, a few years ago, and I remember looking this lady up on the internet, and I was absolutely gobsmacked, and not surprised, because it does make sense to me. And I did actually show this to a few of my friends, and one of my friends actually then, it kind of really affected her, and she started to look right into becoming a herbalist and being vegan and all sorts. But my point is that that lady may not have been alive still had she have not gone down that route.
Yeah.
She could have done the chemo, and that could have given her another year, but she would have been very ill, and it's not guaranteed that she's going to be cancer free afterwards, and I know some people take the chemotherapy route, and that is, their choice. However, she took the natural route and she healed herself, which I think is absolutely amazing. And now she's fully fledged vegan. She's plant-based, like she makes up her own remedies now. And I just think the human body is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier about our potential, a lot of us don't even reach, we'll reach 40% of our potential in our lifetime, physically and mentally. And I just think that we really, 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 really could learn a thing or two from just trying.
Yeah. So when being raised in captivity for so long, to be let out into the wild is very, very dangerous, like you said. And I quote a saying from Morpheus in the Matrix: we don't free a mind once it's reached a certain age. It's, has to free itself, basically. But yeah, we've lost Lucas. Oh, I want to know why. It's gone. But yeah, never underestimate the power of planting a seed. There is so much out there that we are not allowed to see. Like Google being the #1 search engine in the world now, but it's like 1% of the internet. 1%. I mean, for people though, it's just the most trusted, reliable source because it's probably the most convenient, but it is not the only one. If you want real, untampered, like knowledge, you got to look elsewhere. You're not going to see it in the school books.
Definitely.
You're not going to see it. You've got to go out and explore. They're going to tell you that the pyramids were built by slaves. But if you want real truth, you got to explore, man. You know what I mean? We're touching on one subject here that gets people real rallied up. I'm not exactly sure why that is. But this is just one subject of life. It's a beautiful thing.
So we've discussed zoos and the whales in captivity.
Yeah.
So going back to the whale.
Yeah.
If your relative was one of the people that the whale had dragged into the water and killed, would you want the whale to be killed?
Like if a dog bites your child, do you put the dog down?
It's very hard, isn't it? But what I don't understand is with animals, like what you just said there, if the dog bites the child, draws blood, scars the child for life, we then would have, or the services would say the dog would have to be put down so that it's not a harm to another child or another person. So earlier on, you mentioned how if a drunk driver killed somebody, they should be imprisoned or, you know, sentenced to death because they caused death. So how can we do that to animals, but we don't do it to humans?
Very valid point.
So how come we
very
can
well
just
put.
say and strike down and say that dog caused harm to that child? Didn't kill the child. Well, some dogs have killed children, but just say in this particular instance, it scarred the child, cut the child had to go to hospital. Okay, the dog is going to have to be put down because it cannot be harm to another again. So a drunk driver or a human does wrong to another human. How can we trust they're not going to be a harm to a human again? So what are we going to do? Imprison them for 3 years, then let them out, and then they can do it again? Or
Right, because
humans
otherwise,
are treated differently.
if you do
Humans
that,
are
then
treated differently to animals.
if you do that, then surely you would be able to give the dog a second chance.
There you go.
Very well put, and that's a very well, I think, a good way to end this one. So guys, if you're watching and you've liked the episode, hit the like button and obviously share it too. Comment, let us know what you think. Whatever you think, we'll be interested to hear what you have to say. And yeah, here at the Elite Thinking Club, you know, we're not about trying to make people right or wrong. We are just simply exploring. So for myself and Liz, who's still with us, Lucas is not, but guys, everyone everywhere, peace and love.
Peace and love.